Welcome to Gatecrashers, a podcast dedicated to kicking open the door to your next favorite thing. Our mission, our creed, our code is this: to make all things more approachable and accessible to everyone. We want you to find a universe that you'll fall in love with. It's the most joyous season of all. So to our family, that means pouring a cup of hot cocoa, putting down our phones, and watching our favorite holiday films. So, sit back, relax, and get ready to hop into an open sleigh through our winter wonderland of festive films we enjoy. Hello, everyone out there. My name is RJ Durante. My pronouns are he, him.
Hi, and I'm Ashley Durante, and my pronouns are she, her.
And that is not a mistake. We both share the same last name.
We're not siblings.
We are not. If we were, what we do would be illegal in a lot of places. We are husband and wife, and this is our first podcast together on this joyous Gatecrashers site. So welcome, Ashley, aboard this thing that we're doing.
I feel like there's been a reason why we haven't been able or allowed to do the podcast together.
I've been asking for it, and they just keep saying no. But that's
I haven't been asking at all.
Well, that explains everything then. So what are we doing here? What are we? Why are we doing this? What is this?
So for the Gatecrashers, one of our holiday episodes this year, RJ and I are very passionate about our holiday films that we watch every year. It's like it's a tradition for us. So we just figured we would hop on here and discuss our favorite holiday films that we watch every year. Now, that would be far too many to discuss in the time that we have allotted for this. So
Correct.
we have narrowed it down to 5, and these aren't necessarily maybe like, I would say like some of them are like probably within our top 5, but we wanted to just talk about 5 that we liked and we had a lot to say about, or maybe underrated Christmas films that you haven't heard of or watched yet.
They came across to a point where we enjoy them so much that we have to talk about them. And in no order that proves any allegiance to 1 through 5, we will be discussing Shop Around the Corner, Arthur Christmas, The Holiday, Muppet Christmas Carol, and finally, It's a Wonderful Life. So if it's okay with you, can we hop right into the Shop Around the Corner?
Sure. Yeah, like RJ said, there's nothing very scientific about how we came up with this order or even the ones that we're talking about. We just really like them. And Shop Around the Corner is one that we watch every single year.
Well, we do that for all of these.
Yeah,
so
okay, that's true, actually. Yeah, never mind. We do watch all of these every year, but this one specifically is like one of the ones that is like a priority. Like if we're running out of time, there's only so much time in December, but this is one we specifically make time for every year. Mm-hmm. And it is a classic film.
Yes.
Classic. It's not in color. If you haven't seen it yet.
I don't. What?
It's not color.
1940, Shop Around the Corner. We see stars Margaret Sullivan and Pennsylvania owns Jimmy James Stewart.
Jimmy James, that's official.
Jimmy James.
Is that what he went by?
Jimmy James. His friends called him that. And why is this such an important film? So we find ourselves in Budapest, which makes no sense for this, but the writer himself was from Hungary. And it really is part of the pre-World War II era of films, literally filmed in 1939. So at that time, Hungary would have been neutral as the beginning of all that fun was about to happen. It's English speaking, which again, they're in Hungary, so I guess we're supposed to just assume that they're a bunch of expats who are just running a shop in Budapest.
You say that because the film's obviously in English, but
yes.
It's weird that you say that because when I watch the film, I'm transported to a world, like I think, oh, they're actually speaking another language. The film is just being translated in my brain, especially for me. Like, Does that make sense? Like, in the world of the film, like, they would be speaking a different language, but because it's a movie, I understand
You have such a beautiful mind sometimes. I have no explanation for that. Yeah. I mean, I think this film could do just as much wonder being on Fifth Avenue, in the 1930s.
Oh, Fifth Avenue, you say?
Yes, I do. Why?
Would you like a little tidbit of film trivia?
Was this filmed on Fifth Avenue?
No, it was not.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so you know how people make fun of people who like Lord of the Rings because when that scene comes when Aragorn kicks the helmet, the people that really like it say, he broke his foot there. Like, it's new information.
Are we doing this now?
Yeah, we're doing this right now. I have to talk about Lord of the Rings and everything. We do, because I'm one of those people. But this film, Shop Around the Corner, is also one of those films for me. When I watch it with somebody, I have tidbits that I have to give them. So, listeners, this tidbit's for you.
And it's a shame that it is listeners and not people watching this.
Yeah.
Because my face will tell you exactly what is going on here.
Yeah.
But go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. Not to get away from what it's about, but your comment about Fifth Avenue. This is the originator for one of the most classic rom-coms of all time. Do you know what it? You know what it is because I've told you.
You've Got Mail.
You've Got Mail. This is the original You've Got Mail. So, if I'm sure we're heading towards plot, but if you've seen You've Got Mail, I'm sure you have, listeners. Everyone's seen You've Got Mail. This is the original story for that. It's based off of Shop Around the Corner, a Christmas film.
Exactly. In brief, the story is Jimmy Stewart plays a salesman in a
Budapest
I guess
shop.
they sell fine goods or just
It's
goods
like
in general.
An early
suitcases, perfume.
An early
yes,
department store.
Exactly, an early department store. Margaret Sullivan shows up as someone looking for a job, and they meet, and there's just no sparks, nothing.
All my enemies to lovers, girlies. This film is an originator of that. Okay.
This might be the origin.
No,
enemies to lovers.
but that's a delightful thought that you've just had. But no, there's been plenty.
No, that's I'm gonna put that in IMDb, so that's official. Essentially, they write certain letters to a op-ed type newspaper, and they're trying to find someone else.
They find
like
they're
them.
Essentially they're pen pals. They don't
Exactly.
know they're pen pals, but they're falling in love through letters. They begin working with each other and hate each other, and they have no idea that in their alone home time, they're writing letters to the person they hate most at work and falling in love. And
So
all of it's happening through the snow glistening Budapest.
But that's not true. That's not true. The film actually takes place over 6 months. It starts in the summer and it ends on Christmas Eve.
Why does the movie feel like it's so much? It just feels like Christmas.
And, well, that's a tell of a good film, that it just, doesn't drag on. It actually gets to a point. But Samson Ralphison, who wrote the screenplay, had a little quote about it, and he basically said that this is a film for, lovers who are so in love with the idea of love that they are unable to accept the love that is in front of them. And I like that. That's a nice little thing.
Sentiment.
But without, beating this movie to death, what is your favorite thing about watching this? Why do you enjoy it so much?
Besides Jimmy Stewart, who is across the board one of my all-time favorite leading men.
Same.
I really love Margaret Sullivan's character because, frankly, she comes off a little unlikable in the beginning.
A little?
She does. She's a little pushy.
Yes.
And you feel very much in the beginning like you're experiencing the film through Jimmy Stewart's perspective. But I feel like the filmmakers do a really great job of just making you look at her through his eyes and then almost fall in love with her also while he is too. And there's delightful moments of comedy throughout it. And also some hardship as well. There are some tense topics throughout the film. It is a lighthearted Christmas movie, but there are some heavier topics throughout it that involve the department store owner. But I don't know. There's just the film brings me a kaleidoscope of emotions when I watch it. So much so that I come back every year and I have to keep watching it and make time for it.
Oh, that was perfect.
Thank
you. That was perfect.
Why do
Good
you
job.
like it? You never watched it before you met me, so
I didn't.
Yeah. So what about it?
I think it really is, and it's one of the reasons why It's a Wonderful Life is one of my favorites. There's a lot of complex emotions, and I think Christmas is a buildup of complex emotions.
Yeah.
It's a holiday that a lot of people look forward to. It's a holiday that a lot of other people don't look forward to.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful yet depressing time of year.
Yep.
And this film kind of wraps a lot of that into a tight hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's very unique because I was always one to think that older films don't have as much
warmth
kind of
to
weight
them
to
sometimes.
no, not even warmth, weight. They don't have a lot of weight to them. It's just some of them are very popcorn films, and I don't know. I think too Jimmy Stewart really carries it, and Margaret Sullivan, who and another tidbit, she was known in Hollywood at the time as difficult, and the when you have a director go out and say, I'm not making a film without this person and that person, and then they get those people. Obviously, they did it for a reason, and you can really see it between the two of them. But overall, it builds up to something so warming and perfect that it really is a highlight of Christmas viewing for me, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah, and I do feel like classic films sometimes, especially when they're still in black and white, they can be touch and go for some people. They're quite a bit of the population doesn't really find them interesting or see what about them they should invest their time into. But I feel like this one especially has a really great emotional payoff. It's a tried and true storyline that people will recognize, but it's also different enough that it feels special in its own thing, because obviously You've Got Mail has become what it has become in the romantic comedy lexicon. It's up there,
and I would die on this hill. This is the better of the two. The original is better.
Ooh, that's a spicy comment.
That's not even a simmering take. That's a fact.
I won't pick because it's like asking to choose a favorite child. I like each of them for their own reasons. We'll just leave it at that.
So Arthur Christmas.
Oh, okay. So we're moving on to the next one. Okay.
No, I'm not even gonna give you any leeway. I'm just gonna jump continually.
Okay,
going
so
the
next one, Arthur Christmas.
Arthur Christmas. So Arthur Christmas is an animated film. It features the voice talents of James McAvoy, Hugh Laurie, Jim Broadbent, Bill Nighy, and it is such a unrepresented film in the Christmas category. I remember the first time we watched this together, and we put it on off of a whim. I think we literally we didn't know what to watch.
Yeah, this was one of the years. So when December rolls around, RJ and I specifically start to run through our Christmas standbys.
25 films of Christmas.
Yeah, so we start prioritizing the things that we want to watch in the month of December, almost as soon as December starts. And that specific year, we just happened to, I don't know, roll through everything that we really wanted to watch pretty early. And we were just looking for something new that was out there. And this wasn't the first year that Arthur Christmas had been out. I feel like it had already been out. What year did it come out?
I'm not even going to look it up, but I know it's been out for a while.
Okay,
it's older than we think it is. I'm thinking like 2010, maybe 2011, sometime around that.
I was thinking 2016. So, well, now I'm going to look. Okay.
No, I'm gonna look it up. You just keep on talking there.
That's
2011.
2011. Okay.
I was right.
All right.
Okay.
6 eggs and half a dozen.
What?
I don't know. It's a saying.
No, more like 6 eggs and you threw 8 of them against the wall. Yeah. Listen.
It was in 2011 when we watched it, but I feel like it was on Netflix. It was on Netflix.
Yes, it was.
Plug for Netflix. We saw it on there. And when we put it on, I was not, it was one of those movies where I was expecting to be doing something else while I was watching it. I was not expecting to put down the things that I was doing and watch the entire movie because I was so compelled to. But I was. I feel like I was doing something around the house and I stopped doing it and I said, what is this movie? It's actually
this was a put down the phone moment for you. That's what it was. You were on the couch. You were probably scrolling through something, and then you're like, "Whose voice is that?" Actually, and it was James McAvoy's voice.
Who, by the way, is one of my top 5 actor loves. James McAvoy. Love.
The just most basic plot here is Santa is possibly on his way out towards retirement, and his eldest son is looking to take over, but views Christmas more as a goal.
A military operation.
Exactly, and something to get done.
Second son, Arthur, though.
Yes, his other son, Arthur, works in the... He responds to letters. Yeah, the mailroom, I think. And he responds to letters, and he reads every single letter that children write. And he can tell you what Susie down the lane wants for Christmas. He can tell you that, another girl really wants a dog, and it's just really into actual Christmas. So it's a heartwarming film.
He's filled with the spirit.
He has the spirit.
He got all the spirit in the family.
He's like those preachers in the South, but if Christmas had possessed them instead of the devil.
Okay.
Yeah.
And, so essentially a child was, their gift was forgotten. Arthur goes on a quest to deliver the gift by using, this film has a lot of...
every means possible.
Yeah, this film has a lot of fun Santa tech, which it's a 3D animated film with an excellent voice cast. The script is so well done. And the storyline is just really heartwarming. And whether you're an adult watching it alone or you have a family and you want something you can watch with your kids, Arthur Christmas is definitely one that is just a film that I don't think a lot of people know about that would be more popular if they knew about it.
Agreed. And I'm sitting here being like, what? Who voices Mrs. Claus? And I was like, oh, it's Imelda Staunton. It took me a second to remember, and then I remember his Umbridge, and I was like, this is the one. I know. So again, a spectacular voice cast, and a lot of it in animated films too, especially when you are kind of grabbing names to put as, names on posters for like animated films that are coming up, you tend to lose kind of the purpose behind those films, and having people who are able to express an emotion without them being seen. And
this was a qualified voice cast.
They all come through. They really all come through. Like I cannot doubt any of them. So, Ashley, why is this one of your favorite Christmas films?
I think because it took me so much by surprise, and it really is one of the newer films added to our rotation. And that keeps it really interesting to me because there are some that essentially I've been watching since I was a child. And at that point, you almost could shut your eyes for 20 minutes and know exactly what you've missed from it because you've seen it so many times. But Arthur Christmas still has a little bit of the shine left to it because I haven't had the opportunity to watch it as much as the other ones. I still kind of like look forward to putting it on every year. And it really is like very different from everything else on our list. It's something, RJ and I have a smaller child. It's one of the ones that we can confidently like put on in the beginning of the day and know that it's going to entertain all of us.
All of us.
Yeah, all of us. Yeah, so why, RJ, what was it about Arthur Christmas that you love so much?
I think there's not a lot of animated Christmas that I like. I like mostly live action films, and again, I also think this definitely took me by surprise. There are certain films that elicit pretty strong emotions from me, and the last 10 minutes of this film hit me pretty hard. Yeah. And I really enjoy it because it is very much so the spirit of the season. And it got me. And I think
it's a
just
Christmas
love it.
story, but it is also the story between fathers and sons.
Yes,
as well.
very much so. And the family business. And
it's very
letting
generational.
Go and,
yeah, there's a lot of that in this movie. It packs an emotional punch for being an animated film.
So we've gone animated. We've gone old school. Now we're going to dive into rom-com. But this would be a rom-com, right?
Yeah, I feel like this next film is one I didn't realize I was watching every year, but I was watching it every year. This was like an unconscious choice.
Correct. And another one that I watched under duress. Yeah,
I feel like I made you watch this kind of. I don't think this is one you were watching without me.
Never.
Prior. Yeah.
I'd never seen it before.
Oh, really? Okay, so our next film that we're talking about is The Holiday. Rom-com classic. It's Kate Winslet, Cameron Diaz, Jack Black, and Jude Law. Essentially, Cameron Diaz lives in LA, Kate Winslet living in the UK. Both of them are in a little bit of a rut around the holidays. They agree to house swap over Christmas. So each goes to the other's abode to spend the holiday there, and they find themselves ingratiating themselves into the other person's life.
This film is wild for a lot of reasons.
It's so weird. It is weird. Like, there are weird choices in it. Like, Cameron Diaz's character is she creates trailers for films. So there are really farcical scenes from her perspective where her narrative just kind of turns into a film trailer.
They got the movie voiceover guy.
They're
like that's an actual part of the film.
Yeah.
And then you have a hyper serious moments with Kate Winslet, and with Diaz and Jude Law when they're in the town that they are in England. But I think the crazier part about this is Jack Black plays Kate Winslet's love interest for a portion of the film, and the reason that this actually kept me interested was it was the most unlikely pairing, but for some reason their chemistry is off the charts.
It really is.
I cannot explain it. I can't explain it.
This is a movie that it came out, I'm trying to remember, this came out in 2006. You were very close. I feel like I watched it when it came out, and I don't remember especially feeling any sort of emotional connection. That made it like an instant classic for me. However, I don't know, as it's aged and I've aged, it just sits in this weird little sweet spot of uncomplicated just holiday fluff that I just put on. And like I said, this has been an unconscious film. Like, as we've stated, there are movies that I put on every single December. This was one I very randomly was like, oh, I've watched this the past 3 years. Like, and I didn't realize I was doing it.
There's another reason why you really like it.
Why? What is the reason?
If I sent you to a village in England, a quiet, quaint village in a stone house with a working fireplace where you could just snuggle up, have tons of blankets and wine and chocolate, and then Jude Law shows up at your door.
Okay, you have subconsciously hit on something that is true. That is a true statement. As I have gotten older, I have been vicariously living through Cameron Diaz's character as she takes over Kate Winslet's life. Yes. Kate Winslet lives in this stone wood fireplace like house in an English hamlet, and it's scenic. There are sheep. It's in an environment where you could go to the market and bring your bread home in a paper bag. I don't live that life right now, and I wish I did.
And so here's the question: why do you love this film so much? Is that the reason you love this film so much?
Cozy vibes is why I love this film. And it's weird to say that because that's only half the film. The other half of the film takes place in LA, but I actually really enjoy that portion of the film too. Even though I'm not like living vicariously through that part of the film, I'm enjoying what the storyline is.
Which story do you like better? Like, if I said to you,
I think
and they both work separately and they work together. They work together better than if they were just one long film of either one. And I think you need that duality.
Yeah, I do like the duality of the.
But which one do you like better?
I think I like the Cameron Diaz's storyline a lot. There's, I love like romance books, and there's just something so endearing, even though I know Jude Law, like, definitely, like, in real life, cheated on his wife, but as an actor in this film, when his like, film children tell him to put the napkin on his face with the glasses and do Mr. Napkin face or whatever they call him in the film, oh my God, so endearing. So, just like, I don't want any more kids, but my ovaries, oh my God.
That's a thing.
That's a thing. Yeah, so I don't know. That portion of the film, it ticks all the boxes for like classic Christmas romance. I just love it. And also Cameron Diaz's wardrobe we don't talk enough about the cozy white sweaters that look so soft that she wears in that movie. If I could buy them now, I would get them the entire wardrobe tomorrow.
That makes sense.
I wouldn't look like that in them, but I would feel like what they look like.
Better. You would look better.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Why do you... Again, you had to watch The Holiday under duress, but you can't tell me you didn't enjoy it because you let me put it on this list.
Yeah, and I look forward to it every year. I think... this is one of those once a year is enough for me films.
Oh yeah, the listeners really want to watch it now. Thank you. It's okay, be honest.
I enjoy the Diaz, and Diaz has never been one of my favorite people, and
I feel
Jude
the
Law's
same way. I don't know why I love this so much.
Winslet and Jack Black, for some reason, I don't know what I really do. And I think too the fact that they bring out Eli Wallach, who is part of a better time in Hollywood, and I don't know. It just their like romance is interesting, and Winslet again is just a very endearing character, and She just seems
actress.
like such a lovely person, and I don't know, it gives you like a lot of good feelings, and this is just a feel good type of movie, and I think that's why I let you watch it as much as we do every year.
Yeah.
But we have a very, very special film coming up next.
Coming up next, yes.
Do you want to introduce it, or do you want me to introduce it?
I feel like we have different reasons why this is a very special film for us.
I'll introduce it.
Okay.
Okay. December 19th, 2013.
Oh, you're going to... Okay, you start with the story. Okay.
Yeah. We were sitting, waiting for our son to be born, and we needed a Christmas film to take our minds off of everything. And Muppet Christmas Carol came on. And Ashley and I love the Muppets. There's no two ways about it. We love the Muppets. This film, even outside of Christmas, is just a great film. It really is. You throw Muppets in anything, and it just works.
Dare I say it, the best version of the Christmas Carol?
It is the only version of the Christmas
Not
Carol.
The only one, but it's the best
is the one.
one.
I put this and then Scrooged with Bill Murray, and then the rest of them. I don't care. I don't respond to comments, so have at it. But this film is just a lovely part. It is a delight, but it's a lovely part of my life, and something that every year on our son's birthday we watch Muppet Christmas Carol, and I look forward to it.
So do I. I have always been a fan of Muppet movies, but especially when the Muppets adapt films. During the summer, I like to watch Muppet Treasure Island. And then during the winter, and now every year we watch it on our son's birthday, is the Christmas Carol film. And the music in it. The music is so good. Now, if we're talking about the music, we also have to talk about the fact that there's been a song cut from this film. There is... I grew up watching it on VHS at my grandmom's house. My grandmom's copy had the cut song in it. So the version
ours.
Yeah, so I always grew up with that... The original... What is it? The original theatrical version?
Yeah.
That's the version that I grew up with. I didn't actually even realize that it was a debate between people.
Yeah, and hearing people be like, like a fun fact, a song was cut from this film? And I was like, what song was cut from this film? And they're like, the love is gone. And I'm like, no, my mom fast forwards through that every single time we watch it.
That's
my mom
very true.
Hates that song.
Yeah, a lot of people. I feel differently.
Now that I've matured, I've grown older, and I understand the importance of that song.
I don't think you have to be matured even.
No, that song is a turning point in the film because it makes you understand.
I feel like it creates emotional weight and develops.
It's the moment that Scrooge's heart shut forever.
Yeah.
That song just that was the last redeeming part of him, was his love for her, and once that was gone, there was nothing. There was no light left for him.
Yeah. I just, I'm really glad. I don't know if our listeners follow the Muppet Christmas saga, but if you subscribe to Disney Plus, they have just released the edition with the song included again. So it's been a long time, because for many years, if you were buying it, I think on DVD, you were getting the cut version without the song, which includes this very weird transition where
they enter a pond and then just
kind
leave.
Of walk away quickly.
They just leave.
It was very strangely edited. I don't know. It never. Yeah, I didn't like it. So I'm happy that version's back, and if it is something that you're interested in watching, it's available now on Disney Plus.
Yes, it is. And I think about the Muppets in general, and you're always like, okay, so what actor can you put against the Muppets?
Yeah.
And it's not even so much hold their own, but they have to be a step above. They have to be like outlandish in some way because they
acting
need to
against Muppets.
Exactly. Your eyes are always going to be like, those are Muppets. You see
Yeah.
those Muppets too, right? So we talk Tim Curry in Muppet Treasure Island. I think of Charles Grodin in The Great Muppet Caper. I think of Steve Martin and the likes in the original Muppet movie. I even think Jason Segel did a phenomenal job in The Muppets. But
Top tier.
Michael Caine.
Yep.
Michael Caine is the, and I think Tim Curry is just kind of tied, if not just a little below him. But Michael Caine is just phenomenal, and I think it goes to a fact that probably everyone knows by now. He only agreed to do this film if he was allowed to act like an absolute asshole to the Muppets. And that's why it works so well, because he pretended as if he was interacting with regular thespians, other actors
well,
of
that's
his.
the
Of
thing.
his
He took the job on as Scrooge and really wanted to portray as if he was playing him in a West End production with the most gravitas you could bring to the role. And he greatly succeeded. And I
Yes.
think it's what makes this film so easy to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And also just so surprising, because I feel like Scrooge is the Christmas Carol. You've got a really angry, mean man. It could really go in any direction. And he specifically brought just like, I don't know, just a different level to the character.
Did I share the Michael Caine video to you? He was someone had offhand asked him like, it was one of those like short bits where they ask actors like, oh, what are you most known for? What do you like? People call you out in the street. I guess like for Sacha Baron Cohen, people like do like my wife, like no.
Yeah.
Well, for Michael Caine, he says everyone says how much they love me in Muppet Christmas Carol, and he says every time he says no matter where I am, he says I smile about it, and it's just. That, I think, makes it mean much more, especially when you know that the actor themselves had a good time, like, performing this. Because I know there's plenty of movies out there that are great, and you're like, you hear afterwards, oh my god, the set was miserable. I hated doing that film. Like, that was, at gunpoint. So, Ashley, what do you love about Muppet Christmas Carol?
For me, it's number one, the Muppets. I just adore the Muppets. And I feel like our relationship, we just love the Muppets. Like,
yes.
RJ and our wedding song was, what's that song called? I always think of it as just Kermit's song.
Rainbow Connection?
Yeah, our wedding song was Rainbow Connection.
Yes.
So that should tell you how we feel about the Muppets. But I love that they're a part of the film, and then again bring it back to the music. Like during December also listen to the sound, like it's in my rotation of like Christmas and holiday music. I just really love the soundtrack. It makes me think of my childhood because it was one of those movies that I used to watch at my grandma's house. I don't know. It just fills me with like the warm fuzzies that the holidays are essentially the quote unquote supposed to bring you. This film does that for me. And what about this one? And is it for you?
I think the Christmas Carol, it's obviously it's a classic novel, and the play itself has always been a dark and dreary, and then slowly builds into like a beautiful thing. I just like how they added such comedy to this film.
Yeah.
I mean, everything
we
from
quote the movie,
and that's it's one of the most quotable, like Rizzo, like the ramp, not the ramp, like the ramp. But my two main reasons. Number one is because we watched it every year on his birthday, and I just really enjoy that time. And he'll get bored of it one day, but we won't. And
I feel like he hasn't found the purpose in the film yet, even now. Yeah, like we're watching it for nostalgia and because we love it, but I don't feel like our son has found his love for it yet. But that's fine.
Not at all.
We'll keep trying.
And the other side is because Waldorf and Statler are Marley and Marley.
Yes.
And it just, I don't know, just seeing them and they're my favorite Muppets. And I think it's just great. And it's also tough because when people say, how many ghosts was Ebenezer visited by? Some people say 3. That's incorrect. Some people say 4, which is Marley. I say 5 because he was visited by Marley and Marley. Yeah, I think we've spoken our piece on that, which is why it brings me such joy to talk about our 5th and final film in our list. And it's a film that you introduced to me. I had never seen it before again,
I didn't
which
know
is
that.
surprising. Yeah, no, you were the first one who sat me down and were like, this is a Christmas film. You have to watch this.
Well, that's because I watched this. This was my original Christmas film. So
I do. Let me pause,
Okay.
listeners. I do have independent thought. I am able to make choices for myself. She doesn't actually drag me to and make me do these things. I do them of my own free will. I'm okay. Everything's fine here. I just had to put that little caveat in there because everyone, I'm like, well, she made me watch it.
Yeah, you make me sound wonderful in this.
No, but this is good. Like, I'm glad you,
I feel like in
sat
relationships
me down
you give and take. Like, there are a lot of films that and honestly, like in this in our list of films that we watch in December, like this is just a small portion of that. But a lot of them are movies that I didn't watch growing up, and they were films that were really important to RJ or things that he really liked. So yeah, I think there's a give and take, but this one specifically, this is my original Christmas film. So this is before you and I were together and we made it a point to have a month-long journey of holiday films. This is the only movie I watched at Christmas. And frankly, I watched this a lot throughout the year when I was younger because it was just essentially one of my all-time favorite films.
Because it's 95% not really a Christmas film.
No, I guess it's not. So in case you haven't figured it out by now, it's a Wonderful Life with, again, another Jimmy Stewart film. I was a huge black and white or classic film fan when I was younger. I specifically only watched Turner Classic Movies. My favorite thing was to read biographies on classic film stars. I had no friends, clearly.
That's not true. I think this film in itself. So the big reason why you were able to watch it on Turner Classic Movies it's
that
part of
that wasn't actually where I watched it at. It was on NBC after.
NBC.
Yeah.
So why were you able to watch that? Well, because this film bombed at the box office, and the copyright
originally upon first
release, and the copyright just kind of let out, so it was allowed to be broadcast on public broadcasting, and so this started being shown during Christmas, and it built
I think it was
this
just cheap
status.
It was cheap to play. So when we were younger. So years ago, I won't say how many, but years, when we were growing up, you would watch the Thanksgiving Day Parade on NBC, and then immediately following, they would play It's a Wonderful Life. So most of my childhood, I recall watching the Thanksgiving Day Parade, and then I always, every single year, watched It's a Wonderful Life afterwards. And then when you could begin to purchase them, I have the special edition where they've colorized the film, although I still prefer to watch it in black and white because that's what feels right when I watch it.
And I'm trying to think what version we watched the black and white version, don't we?
Well, yeah, because we have that on our Apple TV.
We own the
our
classic.
DVD, we have the Blu-ray downstairs. That's the colorized version.
I think we unfortunately, obviously, we didn't really need to cover the plot of the last film. A Christmas Carol is a Christmas Carol. It just has Muppets in it. Yeah. It's a Wonderful Life is basically the story of one
man's life.
Man. Yeah, and kind of
the lives that he touches throughout his life, and when he goes through a hardship that has him making a tough decision about his future. Essentially, an angel comes and snaps his fingers and then shows him what the lives of the people around him would have been like if he had never been born. And most people know, I feel like, the plot to this film, but I don't know. It just is. It's so, like, it's beautiful to me. Like, the ending of the film still makes me cry every time I watch it. When his town, like, spoiler alert, like, if you haven't seen it by now, I'm sorry, but, like,
you've had 70
you've had a long 70
odd
to
years
watch it. So
to figure your life out.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about it a little bit, but
and also it's rehashed so many times and in so many different ways.
There's that SNL skit that's pretty popular. Like, it has been rehashed a lot, but when his town, like, gathers around him and, like, really saves him out of this moment that really wasn't his problem to begin with, it just became his problem. I cry every time. It just, I don't know, touches something deep in my soul. It's just beautiful, like, community.
Clarence, you got your wings. Clarence.
Every time a bell rings, an angel gets its wings.
Daddy.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's one of those films too where it's an investment. It's not a short film.
No, it's
all.
a longer film, and you really do go through his George Bailey. That's the character that Jimmy Stewart plays. You go through his entire life from childhood to adulthood, and then almost rehashing some of it also, because then you go back and see what his life would have been like without him being born. So it is long. And
the great counterpoint is that it's not just a strong story; it's strong cast. Oh. You have Jimmy
Reed.
Stewart. You have Donna Reed.
Donna Reed plays his wife.
Who plays his wife, and then you have in the antithesis role Lionel Barrymore.
Yes.
Who actually was picked up as this film because he used to do performances of Ebenezer Scrooge. And Frank Capra saw him and was like, "That's my villain. That's him right there." And it's a crazy thing because Capra also made Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. Mm-hmm. This film was made in 1946. It's right after World War II. A lot of people don't know that Jimmy Stewart was
an airplane pilot, wasn't he?
He was the first actor to sign up for the Army. And at that time, they were hesitant because they obviously didn't want their leading men to be killed on the front lines. So they kind of give them like fluff jobs of like selling bonds or something like that. But no, Jimmy Stewart comes from a kind of Army military background, and he became a pilot. And you're thinking to yourself, okay, he probably flew what? Like recon? No, he was in actual missions over Germany during World War II. This man was a real American hero. He comes home. First off, he's awarded a medal in France because during one of the missions, he safely navigated two planes that were shot to pieces and basically got bombarded as they were trying to get back over and let his plane get shellacked with actual live fire, which is insane. This is Jimmy Stewart. So, love the man. But yeah, he comes back home and Frank Capra comes to him and he's like, I had this film, and he's a little bit burnt out from the fact he just came back from war. And he did this film, and it's one of his favorites. He's gone. He unfortunately is dead now, but he's gone saying that this Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, and I can't remember the other one, but he said he loved this film because it wasn't so much about a man, but it was about an idea that you have to remember that there's people in your community that love you no matter what, that are like there for you.
Your life touches so many others.
Exactly.
And you have no idea the small choices that you make daily that impact not just the day-to-day life of others, but their entire life. Like the little choices that you make, or the big things that you do for them, and how that would have impact them if you weren't around. This film has a lot of, even though it's about one man's life, it's essentially about community. And there's just this beautiful, like, current that goes through it of, like, again, warm fuzziness, even in its most dire moments where you're just like, oh, this poor man, like, nothing can go right for him. It just has a beautiful payoff at the end. It's, I don't know, it's a classic. And, you know, you say it bombed. It did bomb when it was released. Strangely enough, it was released in the summer. It's a Christmas film. It was not released in the winter, but it was released in the summer. So it had a lot going against it, I feel like, originally. But it has, throughout time and age, it has become a classic.
It's a classic. It is. It is the classic Christmas film. I mean, Bedford Falls, which is where it takes place, yearly has a viewing of this film. The town is lit up for Christmas. They get a ton of tourists.
One year.
Well, you want to go? We'll go.
Okay, cool.
It's
this is on a podcast now. You have to do it.
Yeah, it's forever. This is forever. And you know, we obviously have picked some films with heavier subject matter in it than would normally be during the Christmas time. But again, we start off by talking about that Christmas is not just a joyous, wonderful, gleeful time. There's also some darkness to it.
There are heavy emotions that go along with the holidays, depending upon your situation and your family situation.
So why do you love It's a Wonderful Life?
That's a hard question to answer because, first off, there's the nostalgia of my own personal childhood. Like, that this, in my own family tradition and the things that I recall loving about the holidays when I was younger, this film is very intertwined in that because listeners, you don't know me, but the holidays were incredibly important in my family. Like, my mom lives for the holidays, and they started the moment the Thanksgiving Day parade ended and Santa came. That was the signal. It was like the beacons were lit.
The trumpets were
blaring like that meant it was Christmas time. And you know, and what ushered that in more? We're gonna watch It's a Wonderful Life right after Santa just came down Fifth Avenue. You know, so it has that level of nostalgia tied to it, but then on top of it, it is just essentially one of my top 5 favorite films. It has the story. It has it's directed. Frank Capra's someone one of my top favorite film directors. Like, he just really, I don't know, he understood this film, and it's a shame it didn't meet its target audience when it was released, but I feel like it has gotten the accolades that it deserves as time has gone on. It's got, I don't know, it's just got a lot of emotions tied to it that really make it something special for me. And I think if our listeners haven't had the opportunity or the interest in watching it, I think it's a worthy film to spend your precious December hours on.
I think for me it's twofold. Onefold being that everyone has a moment in their life where they question their existence and they say to themselves, you know, does my life have value? You know, would anyone really miss me? And I think this is at its core. And George Bailey is a very interesting candidate for this because he has sacrificed a lot of his life for others and given up his life to the betterment of others. And I think the only person who has done more would be Donna Reed as his wife.
So glad you said that.
It's always been she when it comes to giving up their honeymoon money, when it comes to not living in certain places, and she waited for him always. She could have been with old Hee Haw, and so it just it's a film that makes you remember that there is a point to this existence and that you are loved and you would be missed. And the other side is this was a film I had never seen before that you introduced to me, and now one that I absolutely love and I consider, even outside of Christmas lists, probably in my top 10 greatest films of all time, period. And just another Jimmy Stewart film that I adore. So I'm just thankful that you...
You're welcome.
Yeah, I'm thankful that you interested me. So I want to close this out in a meaningful way. And I want to say to you first, thank you for introducing me to these films, because Christmas would be different just because we'd probably watch some other trash. But I mean, these movies, especially in our relationship, have such a powerful part to them because they're intrinsically tied to the memories we have with them, and the first time watching them together, and the years after watching them together. And we watched It's a Wonderful Life after the Thanksgiving Day parade this year, and it was just a nice moment. We were getting ready to go to Thanksgiving, but for certain moments we would stop what we were doing and sit down and watch that specific moment together, and would laugh about it or just talk about what a piece of shit Lionel Barrymore was as Mr. Potter. And that was nice. And it's something that, I don't think I'll forget anytime soon. And the other meaningful thing being that I'm glad to have someone to just watch any Christmas films with. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. And to our listeners at Gatecrashers, we hope that these films bring you some holiday spirit and joy, and we would love for you, after listening to this, to share your favorite holiday films with us. These are just ones that are important to us, but we would love to add more to the list. These are only 5, but if you have others that you want to share with us, we would love to hear them. Hit us up on Twitter.
Yes, hit us up at Twitter at GateCrashersPod. For Gatecrashers, I'm RJ. Thank you again, and thank you to the lovely Ashley.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
All right, have a great holiday season and stay safe out there.
Bye.
Bye.
Gatecrashers.